Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Darati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamalам Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathanmitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनारित्यन्दस्तो भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतं नस्तप्रायस्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shri Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. 3:11:22. Trilokya yuga sahasram bahir abramano tavatyeva nishatata yanni milati vishvasrik. Trilokya of the three worlds, yuga, the four yugas, sahasram, 1,000, bahi, outside of, abramanaha, up to Brahmaloka, dinam, is a day, tavati, a similar period, eva, certainly, nisha, is night, tata, oh dear one, yat, because, nimilati, goes to sleep, vishvashrik, Brahma. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Outside of the three planetary systems, Svarga, Madhya, and Patala, the four yugas multiplied by 1,000 comprise one day on the planet of Brahma. A similar period comprises a night of Brahma in which the creator of the universe goes to sleep. Purport. When Brahma goes to sleep in his nighttime, the three planetary systems below Brahmaloka are all submerged into the water of devastation. In his sleeping condition, Brahma dreams about the god Bodhakasai Vishnu. And takes instruction from the Lord for the rehabilitation of the devastated area of space. Text number 23. Nishavasana arabdo lokakalpo nuvartate yavadinam bhagavato manun bhunjams chaturdasha. Nisha, night, avasane, termination, arabda, beginning from, lokakalpa, further creation of the three worlds, anuvartate, follows, yavat, until, dinam, the daytime, bhagavata, of the Lord Brahma, manun, the manus, bunjan, existing through, chaturdasha, 14, translation. After the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the three worlds begins again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist through the life durations of 14 consecutive manus, or fathers of mankind. Purport. At the end of the life of each manu, there are shorter dissolutions also. So Brahma's... So every day of Brahma has 14 shorter dissolutions of manus. Oh no. The creation of the three worlds begins again in the daytime of Brahma. They continue to exist through the life duration of... So is there 14 manus in one day of Brahma? Did I understand this right? The creation of three. Let's see. Yeah, I think so. Text number 24. Svam svam kalam anurbhunkte sadhikam yeka saptatim. Svam, own. Svam, accordingly. Kalam, duration of life. Manuhu, manu. Bhunkte, enjoys. Sadhikam, a little more than. He, certainly. Eka saptatim, 71. Translation. Each and every Manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 sets of 4 millenniums. Purport. The duration of life of a Manu comprises 71 sets of 4 millenniums, and described in the Vishnu Purana, as described in the Vishnu Purana. The duration of life of one Manu is about 852,000 years in the calculation of the demigods, or in the calculation of human beings, 306,720,000 years. So how long was Kali Yuga? I forgot.
4,32,000 years.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Okay, who wants to read the next one?
I can continue reading few verses.
Yes,
Hare
thank you.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Dandat Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Text 25. Manvantareshu manavas tadvamsha prashaya sura bhavanti chaiva yugapat sureshaschanuye chatan. Synonyms. Manu antareshu, after the dissolution of each and every Manu. Manvantara, other Manus. Tat Vamsha, and their descendants. Rishaya, the seven famous sages. Sura, devotees of the Lord. Bhavanti, flourish. Cha Eva, also all of them. Yugapad, simultaneously. Suraisha, demigods like Indra. Cha and Anu, followers. Ye, all. Cha, also. Tan, them. Translation. After the dissolution of each and every Manu, the next Manu comes in order, along with his descendants who rule over the different planets. But the seven famous sages and demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. Purport. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and each of them has different descendants. Text 26. ईश दैनन्दिनः सर्गो ब्रह्मस्त्रैलोक्यवर्तना तिर्यन् देवानां संभवो यत्र कर्मभिः. Esha, all these creations, Dainandina, daily, Sarga, creation, Brahma, in the terms of days of Brahma, Trailokya Vartana, revolution of the three worlds, Tiryank, animals lower than the human beings, Nir, human beings, Pitra of the Pitra planets, Devanam of the demigods, Sambhava, appearance, Yatra, wherein, Karmabhi, in the cycle of fruitive activities. Translation. In the creation, during Brahma's day, the three planetary systems, Swarga, Martya, and Patala, revolve. And the inhabitants, including the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and pitas, appear and disappear in terms of their fruitive activities. Text 27. Manvantareshu Bhagavan Bibrat Satvam Swamurtibhi Manvadibhir Idam Vishwam Avant Udita Purusha. Synonyms. Manu Antareshu. In each change of Manu, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Bibhrat, manifesting, Sattvam, his internal potency, Swamurtibhi, by his different incarnations, Manu, Adibhi, as Manus, Idam, this, Vishwam, the universe, Avati, maintains, Udita, discovering, Purusha, divine potencies. Translation. In each and every change of Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations as Manu and others. Thus, he maintains uh, thus he maintains the universe by discovered power. Text 28. Tamo matram upadaya prati samruddha
So there is
vikrama.
also annihilation, right?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, I will continue.
At the
Tamo
end of
matra. In each. What, Prabhu? We couldn't hear you. I think Sridhar Prabhu, you are not audible if I'm not wrong.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, if you have...
Which is not there partial annihilation at the end of each Kali Yuga? I don't know about each Kali Yuga, but in this Kali Yuga, the Lord Kalki will come and he will start Satya Yuga by killing all the demonic persons.
Yes, Prabhu.
And the partial dissolution, it happens just now we read after the end of every Manu, which is 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. Tamo matram upadaya prati samruddha vikrama kalena nugatashesha aste tushnim dinatyaye. Tama, mode of ignorance or the darkness of night, matram, an insignificant portion only, upadaya, accepting, prati samruddha vikrama, suspending all powers of manifestation, kalena, by means of the eternal kala, anugata, merged in, ashesha, innumerable living entities, aste, remains, tushnim, silent, dina atyaye, at the end of the day. Translation. At the end of the day, under the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness, the powerful manifestation of the universe merges in the darkness of night. By the influence of eternal time, the innumerable living entities remain merged in that dissolution and everything is silent. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This verse is an explanation of the night of Brahma, which is the effect of the influence of time in touch with an insignificant portion of the modes of material nature in darkness. The dissolution of the three worlds is effected by the incarnation of darkness, Rudra, represented by the fire of eternal time, which blazes over the three worlds. These three worlds are known as Bhur, Bhuvas, and Swaha, Swarga, Martya, and Patala. Yeah. The innumerable living entities merge into that dissolution, which appears to be the dropping of the curtain of the sense of scene of the Supreme Lord's energy, and so everything becomes silent. Yeah. Yeah, in India there is this Gayatri mantra, Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha. So this is no the talking about the three worlds actually. Bhur Bhuva Swaha.
Yes,
Bhuvar
Prabhu.
Lok. Bhu means this earth, and Swar means Swargalok. Yeah. Text 29. Tam evan apidhiyante loka bhur adayastraya nishayam anuvrittayam nirmukta shashibhashkaram. Tam, that, eva, certainly, anu, after, apidhiya, apidhiyante, are out of sight, loka, the planets, bhu adhaya, the three worlds, bhur, bhuvar, and swar, traya, three, nishyam, in the night, anuvrittayam, ordinary, nirmukta, without glare, shashi, the noon, bhaskaram, the sun. Translation: when the night of Brahma ensues, all the three worlds are out of sight, and the sun and the moon are without glare, just as in due course of an ordinary night. Purport: it is understood that the glare of the sun and moon disappears from the sphere of the three worlds, but the sun and the moon themselves do not vanish. They appear in the remaining portion of the universe, which is beyond the sphere of the three worlds. The portion in dissolution remains without sun rays or moon glow. This all remains dark and full of water, and there are indefatigable winds, as will be explained in the following verses. Text 30. Trilokyam dhayamanaayam saktya shankarshanagnia yant ushmana maharlokaj janam bhrik adayo riddha. Synonyms: Trilokyam, when the spheres of the three worlds, Dhayamanayam, being set ablaze, Shaktya, by the potency, Shankarshan, from the mouth of Shankarshan, Agnina, by the fire, Yanti, they go, Ushmana, heated by the warmth, Maharlokat, from Maharloka, Janam to Janaloka, Bhrigu, the sage Bhrigu, Adaya, and others, Ardita, being so distressed. Translation: the devastation takes place due to the fire emanating from the mouth of Shankarshan, and thus great sages like Bhrigu and other inhabitants of Maharloka transport themselves to Janaloka, being distressed by the warmth of the blazing fire which rages through the three worlds below. So I think at the night time of Brahma, these three Satyaloka, Tapaloka, and Janaloka, they three remains, right? Yeah, because Satyaloka should remain because Lord Brahma resides there, and also Janaloka and Tapaloka, it's also there, and all the other planetary systems, they get dissolved and devastation takes place, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, there is three kinds of annihilation. One is due to the time of the, when the entire universe is destroyed. Then this is
Yeah.
when the partially destroyed.
Yeah.
Then there is the one's own karma. Like when Kalki comes, those who are sinful, they get destroyed. So for them, that's also like annihilation.
Yes.
So Prabhu, like the fire from the mouth of Sankarshan, that is
Yes,
destroying that is taking additional devastation. But how about Rudra Prabhu, Lord Shiva? Lord Shiva's energy also destroys the world at the end of each partial dissolution, right? Or is it different?
yes, Prabhu. I think it's related to this fire.
So Sankarshan is the primary, and then Lord Shiva is a secondary. Is it like that?
This Sankarshan is the Sheshanaga.
Yes,
The
Correct,
Prabhu.
Lord.
Prabhu.
Yeah, the
And
snake.
he has the
Yeah.
anger potency. I
Hmm.
read this. So
Oh
I
yes,
think
Prabhu.
they're somehow related, this fire and the Rudra potency.
Hmm.
They're somehow related. That I don't know exactly how it happens, but they're somehow related.
Okay,
I
Prabhu.
think it's like the same fire. It's not that it's separate fire.
Yes, Prabhu.
Maybe it's explained later.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, if anyone else wants to read, Sridhar Prabhu or any other devotees. Hare Krishna.
I can read, Prabhu.
Yes.
Haribol.
Thank you.
तावत् त्रिभुवनं सद्य तावत् त्रिभुवनं सद्य कल्पान्दैतितसिन्धवः प्लावयन्ति उत्कटातोप छन्दवत छन्दवातेरितोदमयः तावत् then Tribhuvanam, all three worlds, Sadhyaha, immediately after, Kalpa Anta, in the beginning of devastation, Edita, inflated, Sindhavaha, all the oceans, Plavayanti, inundate, Utkata, violent, Atopa, agitation, Chanda, hurricane, Vata, by winds, Ether, blown, Urmayaha, waves. Translation and purport by Javel Waves, Ishi Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: at the beginning of the devastation, all the seas overflow, and hurricane winds blow very violently. Thus, the waves of the seas become ferocious, and in no time, all the three worlds are full with water. Purport: it is said that the blazing fire from the mouth of Sankarshan ranges for 100 years of the demigods, or 36,000 human years. Then, for another 36,000 years, there are torrents of rain, accompanied by violent winds and waves, and the seas and oceans overflow. These reactions of 72,000 years are the beginning of the partial devastation of the three worlds. People forget all these devastation of the worlds and think themselves happy in the material progress of civilization. This is called Maya, or that which is not. Hmm.
Yes, Prabhu, read this verse.
Yes, Prabhu. Chapter Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 5.25.3. Translation: at the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadeva desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Then, from between his two eyebrows, appears three-eyed Rudra, carrying the trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankarshana, is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras, or incarnations of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. Oh, very well. Nice verse, Prabhu.
Haribol. Yes, Prabhu. It's an answer directly.
Yes, Prabhu. Very direct. Thank you, Prabhu.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Ishvara Prabhupada. Text 32. Antah sa tasmin salila aste anantasano harihi yoga nidra nimilaksha tuyamano janalaya. Antah within saha, that tasmin, in that salile water, aste, there is ananta asana, on the seat of harihi, the Lord, yoga, mystic, nidra, sleep, nimila aksha, eyes closed, stuyamanaha, being glorified, jana alaya, by the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets. Translation and purport by Srivan Bhakti Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, lies down in the water or the seat of Ananta with his eyes closed. And the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets offer their glorious prayers unto the Lord with folded hands. Open. We should not understand the sleeping condition of the Lord to be the same as our sleep. Here, the word Yoga Nidra is specifically mentioned, which indicates that the Lord's sleeping condition is also a manifestation of his internal potency. Whenever the word yoga is used, it should be understood to refer to that which is transcendental. In the transcendental stage, all activities are always present and they are glorified by prayers of great sages like Brigu. So, text 33. Evam vidair ahoratrai kalagatyoparakshitai avakshitam ivashyapi paramayurvayak satam. Evam thus vidaihi, by the process of ahaha days, ratraihi by nights, kalagatya advancement of time, upalakshitaihi by such symptoms, apakshitam declined, iva just like asya his, api although, paramayuhu duration of life, vayaha years, satam 100. Translation: thus the process of the exhaustion of the duration of life exists for every one of the living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in different planets. But every living being lives for 100 years in terms of the times in different planets for different entities. These 100 years of life are not equal in every case. The longest duration of 100 years belongs to Brahma. But although the life of Brahma is very long, it expires in the course of time. Brahma is also afraid of his death, and thus he performs devotional service to the Lord, just to release himself from the clutches of illusory energy. Animals, of course, have no sense of responsibility, but even humans who have developed a sense of responsibility while away their valuable time without engaging in devotional service to the Lord. They live merrily, unafraid of impending death. This is the madness of human society. The madman has no responsibility in life. Similarly, a human being who does not develop a sense of responsibility before he dies is no better than the madman who tries to enjoy material life very happily without concern for the future. It is necessary that every human being be responsible in preparing himself for the next life, even if he has a duration of life like that of Brahma, the greatest of all living creatures within the universe. Text 39. Yat ardam ayusastasya parardam abhidiyate purvat parardo prakranto hi aparodya parapravalyate pravartate. Yet that which ardam half ayushaha of the duration of life, tasya his, parardam a pararda, abhidiyate is called, purvaha the former, parardaha half of the duration of life, apakrantaha having passed, certainly aparaha the latter, adhya in this millennium, pravartate shall begin. Translation: the 100 years of the Brahma's life are divided into two parts, the first half and the second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over, and the second half is now current. Yes, perfect. Perfect. The duration of 100 years in the life of Brahma has already been discussed in many places in this work. And it is described in Bhagavad Gita also. Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 verse 70. 50 years in the life of Brahma, 50 years of the life of Brahma are already over. And 50 years are to be completed. Then for Brahma also, death is inevitable. Text 35. Purvayasyaadau parardasya brahmo nama mahan abhut kalpo yatra bhavat brahma shabda brahmeti yam viduhu. Purvasya of the first half, Adav in the beginning, Para-ardasya of the superior half, Brahma-kalpa, Nama of the name, Mahan, very great, Abhut was manifest, Kalpaha, millennium, Yatra, whereupon, Abhavat appeared, Brahma, Lord Brahma, Shabda Brahma iti, the sounds of the Vedas, Yam, which, Viduhu, they know. Translation. In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, wherein Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simultaneous with Brahma's birth. Purport. According to Padma Purana, Prabhasha Kanda, in 30 days of Brahma, many kalpas take place, such as Varaha Kalpa, Pitra Kalpa, etc. 30 days make 1 month of Brahma, beginning from the full moon to disappearance of the moon. 12 such months complete 1 year, and 50 years complete 1 parartha, or 1/2 of the duration of life of Brahma. The Sveta Varaha appearance of the Lord is the first birthday of Brahma. The birth date of Brahma is in the month of March, according to Hindu astronomical calculation. This statement is reproduced from the explanation of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Tasyaiva 636. Tasyaiva chante kalpo bhut yam patmam abhichakshate yaddare navicharasa ashil loka saroruham. Tasya of the Brahma Kalpa, eva certainly, cha also, ante at the end of Kalpaha millennium, Abhut came into existence. Yam, which Padma Abhichakshate is called, yet in which Harehe of the personality of Godhead, Nabi in the navel, Sarasara from the reservoir of water, Asil there was, Loka of the universe, Sarasruhum lotus. Translation. The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as the Padma Kalpa, because in that millennium, the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the personality of Godhead, Hari. But the millennium following the Brahma Kalpa is known as the Padma Kalpa, because the universal lotus grows in that millennium. The Padma Kalpa is also called the Pitra Kalpa in certain Puranas. Does anybody else want to be told?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
I
Yes,
can go, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. अयं तु कथितः कल्पो द्वितीयस्यापि भारत वाराह इति विख्यातो यत्रासीष शुक्रो हरि. Ayam this too, but kathitaha known as kalpaha, the current millennium. Dvitiyasya of the second half. Api certainly. Bharata or descendant of Bharata. Varaha Varaha. Iti thus Vikhyataha is celebrated. Yatru in which Asi appeared. Shukaraha hog shape. Harihi the personality of Godhead. Translation. O descendant of Bharata, the first millennium in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as the Varaha millennium because the personality of Godhead appeared in that millennium as the hog incarnation. Purport. The different millenniums known as the Brahma, Padma, and Varaha kalpas appear to be a little puzzling for the layman. There are some scholars who think that these kalpas to be one and the same. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the Brahma kalpa in the beginning of the first half appears to be the Padma kalpa. We can, however, simply abide by the text and understand that the present millennium is in the second half of the duration of the life of Brahma. Text 38. Kaloyam द्विपराधाख्यो निमेष उपचार्यते अव्याकृतस्यान् Antasya hya anadir jagat atmanah kalaha, eternal time. I am this, as measured by Brahma's duration of life. Vipara, ardha, akhya, measured by the two halves of Brahma's life. Nimeshaha, less than a second. Upachar yate is also measured, is so measured. Avyakritasya, of one who is unchanged. Anantasya, of the unlimited. He, certainly. Anadeha, of the beginningless. Jagat Atmanaha, of the soul of the universe. Translation: the duration of the two parts of Brahma's life, as above mentioned, is calculated to be equal to one nimesha, less than a second, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited and is the cause of all causes of the universe. Purport: the great sage Maitreya has given a considerable description of the time of different dimensions, beginning from the atom up to the duration of the life of Brahma. Now he attempts to give some idea of the time of the unlimited personality of Godhead. He just gives a hint of his unlimited time by the standard of the life of Brahma. The entire duration of the life of Brahma is calculated to be less than a second of the Lord's time, and it is explained in the Brahma Samhita as follows: Yasyaika nishvasita kalam atha valabhya जीवन्ति लोम विलजा जगदण्ड नाथाः विष्णुर्महान् स इह यस्य कला विशेषो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, whose plenary portion is Mahavishnu. All the heads of the innumerable universes, the Brahmas, live only by taking shelter of the time occupied by one of his breaths. The impersonalists do not believe in the form of the Lord, and thus they would hardly believe in the Lord sleeping. Their idea is obtained by a poor fund of knowledge. They calculate everything in terms of man's capacity. They think that the existence of the Supreme is just the opposite of active human existence. Because the human being has senses, therefore the Supreme must be without sense perception. Because the human being has a form, therefore the Supreme must be formless. And because the human being sleeps, therefore the Supreme must not sleep. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, however, does not agree with such impersonalists. It is clearly stated herein that the Supreme Lord rests in Yoga Nidra, as previously discussed. And because he sleeps, naturally he must breathe. And the Brahma Samhita confirms that within his breathing period, innumerable Brahmas take birth and die. There is complete agreement between Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and the Brahma Samhita. Eternal time is never lost along with the life of Brahma. It continues, but it has no capacity to control the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the Lord is the controller of time. In the spiritual world, there is undoubtedly time, but it has no control over activities. Time is unlimited, and the spiritual world is also unlimited, since everything there exists on the absolute plane. Shall I read the next one also, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. Text 39. I think it went up. Kaloyam paramanva adir dviparardhanta ishvaraha नैवेशितुं भूम्ना ईश्वरो धाम मानिनाम. Kalaha, the eternal time. Aya, this. Parama anu, atom. Adhi, beginning from. Dvipara ardha, two super durations of time. Antaha, to the end. Ishvaraha, controller. Na, never. Eva, certainly. Ishitum, to control. Prabhu, capable. Bhumna, of the Supreme. Ishvaraha, controller. Dhama maninam, of those who are body conscious. Translation: eternal time is certainly the controller of different dimensions, from that of the atom to the super divisions of the duration of Brahma's life. But nevertheless, it is controlled by the Supreme. Time can control only those who are body conscious, even up to the Satya Loka or the other higher planets of the universe. Does anybody else want to continue?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I?
It's Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much, Prabhu, for reading.
विक्रय सहितो युक्तैर् विषय
विशेषतिभिरवृता अनादकोशबहिरयम् विस्तृता. Synonyms: Vikray, by the transformation of the elements; Sahita, along with; Yuktai, being so amalgamated; Vishesha, manifestations; Adivi, by them; Avrita, covered; Andakosha, the universe; Bahi, outside; Ayam, this; Panchashat, 50; Koti, 10 million; Vistrita, widespread. Translation purport by John Basis Avatar Samshil Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: This phenomenal material world is expanded to a diameter of 4 billion miles as a combination of 8 material elements transformed into 16 further categories within and without as follows. Purport: As explained before, the entire material world is a display of 16 diversities and 8 material elements. The analytical studies of the material world are the subject matter of Sankhya philosophy. The first 16 diversities are the 11 senses and the 5 sense objects, and the 8 elements are the gross and subtle matter, namely earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence. Probably we can scroll down. Intelligence and ego. All these combined together are distributed throughout the entire universe, which extends diametrically to 4 billion miles. Besides this universe of our experience, there are innumerable other universes. Some of them are bigger than the present one, and all of them are clustered together under similar material elements as described below. Text 41. दशोत्तराधिकैर्यत्र प्रविष्टः परमाणुवत् लक्ष्यतेऽन्तर्गतश्चान्ये कोटिशो ह्येऽन्तरस्य तस्य uttara with 10 times greater thickness yatra in which pravishte entered parama anuvat like atoms lakshate it mass of universe appear antagata come together cha and anya in the other kotisha clustered he for andarasya huge combination of the universes. Translation: The layers of elements covering the universes are each 10 times thicker than the one before, and all the universes clustered together appear like atoms in a huge combination. Purport: The coverings of the universes are also constituted of the elements earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and each is 10 times thicker than the one before. The first covering of the universe is earth, and it is 10 times thicker than the universe itself. If the universe is 4 billion miles in size, then the size of the earthly covering of the universe is 4 billion times 10. The covering of water is 10 times greater than the earthly covering. The covering of fire is 10 times greater than the watery covering. So we can scroll down. The covering the covering of air is 10 times greater than that of the fire. The covering of ether is 10 times still greater still than that of air, and so on. The universe within the coverings of matter appears to be like an atom in comparison to the coverings, and the number of universes is unknown even to those who can estimate the coverings of the universes. Text 42. Tad ahur aksharam brahma sarvakaranakaranam vishnurdham param sakshat purushasya mahatmana. That ahu, it is said, aksharam, infallible, brahma, the supreme, sarvakarana, all causes, karanam, the supreme cause, vishnudhama, the spiritual abode of Vishnu, parama, the supreme, sakshat, without doubt, purushasya, of the purusha, incarnation, Mahatmana of the Mahavishnu. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is therefore said to be the original cause of all causes. Thus the spiritual abode of Vishnu is eternal without a doubt, and it is also abode of Mahavishnu, the origin of all manifestations. Purport: Lord Mahavishnu, who is resting in Yoga Nidra on the causal ocean and creating innumerable universes by his breathing process only temporarily, appears in the Mahatattva for the temporary manifestations of the material worlds. He is the plenary portion of Lord Shri Krishna, and thus, although he is not different from Lord Krishna, his form formal appearance in the material world as an incarnation is temporary. The original form of the personality of Godhead is actually the Swarupa or the real form, and he eternally resides in the Vaikuntha world, Vishnaloka. The word Mahatmana is used here to indicate Mahavishnu, and his real manifestations is Lord Krishna, who is called Parama, is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead known as Govinda. His form is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and he is the original cause of all causes. Thus end of the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the third canto, 11th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Calculation of Time from the Atom. Thank you, Prabhu.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Praveen, Prabhu, and Pranjal, Prabhu, Dandat, Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Standout Pranam Jai Srila Prabhupada. So that ends the chapter 10.
Yes, Prabhu.
Chapter 10 or 11?
11.
11, yes.
11,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
You want to start the next one? We can read 2 or 3 verses.
I will do.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. So chapter 12, creation of the Kumaras and others. Text 1. Maitreya Uvacha Iti te varnitaha shattaha कालाख्यः परमात्मनः महिमा वेद गर्भोत्था यथा यथाश्रक्षीन् निबोध मे synonyms. Maitreya Uvacha, Sri Maitreya said, Iti, thus, te, unto you, varnitaha, described, shattaha, O Vidura, kala akyaha, by the name of eternal time, Paramatmanaha, of the super soul, Mahima, glories, Veda Garbhaha, Lord Brahma, the reservoir of the Vedas, Atha, hereafter, Yatha, as it is, Asrakshit, did create, Nivodha, just try to understand, me, from me. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sri Maitreya said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his feature of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. Text 2. There is no purport for this one. Text 2. Sasarja gre andha tamishram atha tamishram adhikrit mahamoham cha tamas chagnana vrittayah synonyms. Sasarja, created, agre, at first, andha tamishram, sense of death, atha, then, tamishram, anger upon frustration, adikrit, all these, mahamoham, ownership of enjoyable objects, cha, also, moham, illusory conception, cha, also, tamaha, darkness in self-knowledge, cha, as well as ajnana, nescience, vrittayaha, engagements. Translation. Brahma first created the nescient engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. Purport. Before the factual creation of the living entities in different varieties of species, the conditions under which a living being in the material world has to live were created by Brahma. Unless a living entity forgets his real identity, it is impossible for him to live in the material conditions of life. Therefore, one more time, unless a living entity forgets his real identity, it is impossible for him to live in the material conditions of life. Yes. Therefore, The first condition of material existence is forgetfulness of one's real identity. And by forgetting one's real identity, one is sure to be afraid of death, although a pure living soul is deathless and birthless. This false identification with material nature is the cause of false ownership of things which are offered by the arrangement of superior control. All material resources are offered to the living entity for his peaceful living and for the discharge of the duties of self realization in conditioned life. But due to false identification, the conditioned soul becomes entrapped by the sense of false ownership of the property of the Supreme Lord. It is evident from this verse that Brahma himself is a creation of the Supreme Lord, and the five kinds of nescience which condition the living entities in material existence are creations of Brahma. It is simply ludicrous to think the living entity to be equal with the Supreme Being when one can understand that the conditioned souls are under the influence of Brahma's magic wand. Patanjali also accepts that there are five kinds of nescience as mentioned herein. Text 3. दृष्ट्वा पापीयसीं सृष्टिं नात्मानं भव्यमन्यता भगवत् ध्यानपूतेन मनसान्यां ततोऽसृजत्. Synonyms. Drishtva, by seeing, papi yasim, sinful, srishtim, creation, na, did not, atmanam, unto himself, bahu, much pleasure, amanyata, felt, bhagavat, on the personality of Godhead, dhyana, meditation, putena, purified by that, manasa, by such a mentality, anyam, another, tataha, thereafter, asrijat, created. Translation. Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. Purport. Although he created the different influences of nescience, Lord Brahma was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task, but he had to do it because most of the conditioned souls wanted it to be so. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15 that he is present in everyone's heart and he is helping everyone to either remember or forget. The question may be raised by the Lord. The question may be raised why the Lord, who is all merciful, helps one to remember and another to forget. Actually, his mercy is not exhibited in partiality towards one and enmity towards another. The living entity, as part and parcel of the Lord, is partially independent because he partially possesses all the qualities of the Lord. Anyone who has some independence may sometimes misuse it due to ignorance. When the living entity prefers to misuse his independence and glide down towards nescience, the all merciful Lord first of all tries to protect him from the trap. But when the living entity persists on gliding down to hell, the Lord helps him to forget his real position. The Lord helps the falling living entity to glide down to the lowest point just to give him the chance to see if he is happy by misusing his independence. Almost all the conditioned souls who are rotting in the material world are misusing their independence, and therefore five kinds of nescience are imposed upon them. As an obedient servitor of the Lord, Brahma creates all these as a matter of necessity, but he is not happy in doing so because a devotee of the Lord naturally does not like to see anyone falling down from his real position. Persons who do not care for the path of realization get full facilities from the Lord for executing their proclivities to the fullest extent, and Brahma helps in the procedure without fall.
Haribol. Thank you so much, bro.
Very good. Thank you, bro. Hare Krishna.
This was a really interesting purport. What is
In fact, check it out once again. I'm not sure. Okay, a tendency. Okay, to choose. Okay. See, can you go up, Prabhu? There is a point here. See, actually, there it is. Actually, his mercy is not exhibited partial towards one and enmity towards another. So in fact, Prabhupada has explained it here well in advance because before the start of the seventh canto, the same question was raised by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadeva Goswami why God seems to be biased towards demigods and unbiased to demons.
Yes, bro.
Then Sukadeva Goswami starting the narration of Prahlad Maharaj to show why he shows some kind of this bias, this partiality towards one species of living beings.
Yes, Prabhu.
So Prabhupada has quoted the same kind of explanation here, the same kind of question here in this verse.
Yes, Prabhu. This is really nice. I need to add it to notes. What is the verse? 3:12:3.
3:3. Okay, let's start Sri Sikshashtakam. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Sreyaskairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhu Jeevanam Anandambudhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrutaswadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस् तत्रार्पिता नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशं ह्याजनिनानुरागः तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीयः सदा हरिः न धनं न जन्मं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि ऐनन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलि सदृशं विचिन्तया नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदा हृदया गिरा पुलके निजितं बभुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमीषेण चक्षुषा प्रविश्यायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां विनष्टु माम् अदर्शनं महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः.
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Oh, Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the air of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything. For he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Sri Siksashtam ki jai. Chetan
Jai,
Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Jai. Paujanma Koreyadi Shavana Kirtan, Taputana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Third offense, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master or consider him as an ordinary person.
Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
Fifth offense, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Sixth offense is to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda.
Ninth offense, to instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
Tenth offense is not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhobhyo eva cha patitanam
पतितनां
pavanebhyo
पावनेभ्यो
vaishnavebhyo namo
वैष्णवेभ्यो
namaha.
नमो नमः अनंत
Anantakoti
वैष्णव की जय
Vaishnav
Jai,
श्री प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.